Hey trackies, welcome back to another video. Please remember to smash that subscribe button. We are regrowing, rebuilding pretty much. TXT Track Time News, smash that subscribe button. Check to see if you're actually subscribed as well. And I see a few people telling me that they're getting unsubscribed from TXT Track Time itself. So the main channel, guys, check to see if you are still subscribed on the main channel. And yeah, get yourselves back subscribed because as soon as that channel is up and running again, then yeah, TXT Track Time will be back over there as well. Or T will be back over there as well. Did I just say TXT Track Time will be back over there? Anyway, y'all know what I mean. Check is please hit the like button as well. That's how the video gets to the algorithm as well. Share the content if you care, and also track is the comments, the engagement. Oh my God, you guys have been engaging like never before, and I'm excited to see how much the channel actually has grown. And I don't necessarily mean this new channel, but just the brand TXT Track Time itself has grown, where more and more persons are now engaging, with the actual content. So I really appreciate everyone. Now, track is, haha, this is another one of those videos that will, get everybody thinking. No, this is something that I found very, very interesting the moment it happened. And now that I have confirmation as well, I really have to ask the question, how could we allow this to happen? Now, I have been speculating for some time, as it relates to who could be potentially the fastest Jamaican right now. Now, at first, I definitely had, sights on a Shelly and Fraser Price. She did drop that windy 10.94 seconds. And I did believe as well that she was capable of, giving us at 10.8. And also, track is, even when I look at that execution, I definitely don't think it was the best execution, especially coming out of her dry phase. I don't think, it was smooth for her. So I definitely think, Shirley and Fraser Price could have gone faster in that outing against Tia Clayton. That being said, track is, as I said, I've been speculating in my mind who could potentially be the fastest. So on one hand, I'm thinking, okay, Shirley and Fraser Price, she's already shown us a 10.94 seconds and she looks absolutely good. And I definitely think she can go faster. On the other hand, there's Tia Clayton, hadn't to this point touched the 100 meters yet. However, her 200-meter performances indicated to me that these 200 meters, though they don't necessarily look impressive standing alone, by the time she touches that 100, we're definitely going to get some show-stopping performances, right? So I've been speculating interestingly and thinking, okay, maybe Shelly is still the fastest, right? However, Tia is definitely, in my opinion, close second. At least that was at that time, right? Fast forward now, track is to world relays. And we have a construct with Tia Clayton on third. Now, Tia Clayton, just fresh from her junior, representation, where you would literally see her all the time, whether it be Edwin Allen or, representing Team Jamaica, you definitely see her on anchor, right? However, now they've switched her, to that third leg. And interestingly, you didn't really get the best performance out of her on that third leg, given again the amount of adjustment that she had to make receiving the baton and handing off the baton, right? On a leg that she's clearly not used to competing on, right? And I speculated at that particular moment that I don't necessarily think that it's not that she isn't, in great shape. I'm thinking that, this is not the best leg suited for her. Again, given what we've seen as well from her junior representation days, and even when you take into consideration as well her twin sister, Tina Clayton, right? She's run the backstretch her whole entire life, and not a big fan of how she's run that backstretch. She's been very fast on it. However, she's always adjusted the baton in receiving as well. And I do recall, in the finals for the women's 4x100 meters, where they removed Tia Clayton out of the relays altogether and put a Tina Clayton on third. And I'm like, this is a blunder, 100%. I would have still left, a Tina on first leg. That being said, track is, the revelation that they removed, a Tia Clayton for me was very interesting. And I'm sure some of you remember me saying in my actual video that the choice to remove her was interesting. But at the time, track is, I had no facts to back up whether or not, she was one of the fastest. I could, very well come out here and tell you, okay, guys, how could they remove Tia and she's one of the fastest athletes with no proof? Y'all would just say, y'all are just saying that, she hasn't run anything to show that she's the fastest, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. That's how you guys would approach me, right? So I said, okay, I just find this, choice to remove her altogether from the relay very, very interesting. Fast forward, track is a week later. What does Tia Clayton do? She goes out in her first 100-meter outing of the season and she drops a 10.92 seconds, making her the fastest Jamaican point blank period for 2025. And not only that, Chucky, she's literally the fastest athlete so far in the world. And I'm sitting back and I'm thinking to myself, well, ain't this interesting? Because Team Jamaica literally a week prior removed our fastest athlete out of the relay. Make it make sense. Make it make sense, trackies. At this point, this is utter madness, right? So, as I said, I was speculating who was the fastest. Was it Shelly and Fraser Price? Was it Tia? Even in doing my preview video for the Doha Diamond League, I said it was definitely between Shelly and Tia, and I'm gonna give Shelly the narrow edge, right? Unless Tia surprises. I don't necessarily think Tia surprised per se, because if Shelly had run that 10-8 that I thought she was capable of, then trackies, it would still have been a Shelly win. That being said, trackies, change the fact say Tia come out in our first race, come run one sub 11 and come run a world lead, and I'm sitting back and thinking to myself, so Jamaica couldn't find no place in the relay for she. Jamaica couldn't find no place in the relay for she other than to take her out. Let me make this absolutely clear based on the signs that I'm seeing right now, trackies. Things may change. You never know. But based on what I'm seeing right now, three people are not beating Tia Clayton at the Jamaican National Championships. The trials that is coming up, three people are not beating her. And if she continues to progress how I think she's going to be progressing, remember, I told y'all from she ran those 60s that trackies, the 10-7 is coming. I did multiple videos talking about how impressive she looked. And it's so strange because no, she even came out, after the Doha Diamond League, and she said in her post-race interview that, she didn't get the best start, right? So that aside, I've been telling you guys that, hey, Tia Clayton is definitely on the path of 10-7 for 2025. However, interestingly, after watching those 200-meter performances, I said, I wonder if Stephen could undo the unthinkable with this young girl. I wonder if Stephen Francis could do the unthinkable with this young girl, right? However, trackies, that's yet to be seen. Let's wait until trials, let's see what happens from a time perspective at least. But the fact as things stand right now, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think there's three people taking out a Tia Clayton at the national championships. So let's just say happenstance, she wins. You mean to tell me the winner of the women's 100 meters potentially coming up at the national trials will not have a spot in the women's 4x100 meters to represent at the world championships? Just think about it, trackies. Think about it. Just let that marinate into your brain that we are potentially going to have a Tia Clayton with no spot on the team because we refuse to reorganize the relay and reshuffle and put athletes on legs that may be better suited to them. How ridiculous it sounds for us to have an athlete that is so good and her not participate in the relay. I was literally flabbergasted, trackies, when they removed Tia from that 4x100 meters. All I could say was, that's an interesting choice. That's literally all I could say. That's an interesting choice because I'm like, who sat there and is looking at the landscape of sprinting in Jamaica and thought it wise to remove Tia from a 4x100 meters? Now, don't get me wrong, trackies. I do not believe Tia was giving us the strongest, third leg. That's because I don't think she's suited to the third leg. And some of you may say, well, the best thing to do was take her off. No, because guess what? This is rehearsal. This is dress rehearsal for the big one, right? The team had already qualified. Let's put it that way because that's what everybody said in the interview. Anyway, I remember listening to Shelley's post-race interview and she said the point of the matter is qualifying the team to the World Championships. That was already done from the heats. That's where Tia ran, right? No, we're actually going to take this opportunity to ensure that the girls that are potentially going to be there at the World Championships get some more practice in, get a bit more comfortable with each other on the relay. But guess what I want to do? Wanna take out one of the major participants potentially from this women's 4x100 meters. For what reason? I don't even know. To this day, right now I am confused because thinking about it logically, track is again, this is the perfect opportunity to try new things. Switch the order up and see what works best for Team Jamaica. It may not be how I'm thinking it may work. It may be another way. You never know if you don't try. The fact of the matter is, track is they are not trying. They rather just remove the girl from the relay. And as I said, that is utter madness. It was utter madness to me when I actually saw it on the day. And now that Tia Clayton has proved to be the fastest Jamaican, I'm thinking to myself, what are they going to do now? What are they going to do going forward? That's all I have to say, track is when it comes to this particular issue with Tia Clayton and this relay. Figure it out and figure it out now, because we are not going to have our potential, as I said, fastest athlete in 2025 not be a part of the 4x100 meter relay. And it's not that she's not a good relay leg. It's not that she's not a good relay leg. Yes, so far she's not a good third leg. We've seen her on third. We've seen her on third a few times because we did see her as well in Myanmar. So far, she's proven that she's not a good third leg. But we've seen her on other legs so far where she's proven herself to be very good. Because track is, by the time we get to the World Championships, we would have already had an idea based on what happened at the national trials who is best suited to potentially run what leg. And we should not be having that debate at the actual championships. Worse, on a send out one lineup when it make absolutely no sense. So I'm calling it out from now so that the powers that be, the coach, the whoever figures it out before we get to the world championships, because I'm having none of it. That's it, trackies. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video, of course, and subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.